Puyuma Express, one of the fastest bullet trains in Taiwan. It's been in service for 8 years since 2013, yet the train is still rolling around Taiwan. It was released during the Spring Festival, one of the festivals that Chinese or Buddhist people celebrate. It was a huge success in the Taiwan Railways history. But on October 21st, 2018, making it the worst train accident in Taiwan Railways history. This is the entire story of the 2018 Yilan train derailment 3 years later. October 21st, 2018, Puyuma Express Train 6432 was heading from Shuling to Taitung. The train should leave at 2:50 p.m. local time. There are some stopovers for the train ride. At 2:58, the train should reach Bangjiao. There are 8 coaches with 2 locomotives, one at the front and one at the back, and 6 secondary coaches. The 8 coaches in questioning are TED 2007, the first locomotive's model number. The 6 coaches' model numbers are TEMA 2013, TEP 2007, TEP 2014, TEP 2016, TEP 2008, and TEMA 2015, and TED 2008, the second locomotive at the back, leaving it the last locomotive. The train was going in pushback mode, meaning TED 2008 will seem like the driver is driving it, while in reality, the driver is in TED 2007, driving it at the back. This may cause a little bit of confusion, but the driver will manage it. The train was carrying up to 366 passengers. At 2:50 p.m. local time, Puyuma Express Train 6432 departs from Shuling Station and now it's heading to Bangjiao. It It reached Bangchao at 2:58 p.m. Then it departed a few minutes later. It reached Taipei at 3:09 p.m. It then departed 2 minutes later. It reached Songshan at 3:16 p.m. and then it departed 2 minutes later. Then it reached Yilan at 3:23 p.m. and then it departed 4 minutes later. Then it reached Lodong at 4:31 p.m. and now its next stop was Hualien, and then finally it will reach Taitung. However, it will never reach Hualien. Puyuma Express Train 6432 has some plans to reach Hualien. The train should skip 3 stations to reach Hualien. The skip stations are Dongshan, Xinma, and Shaoxing. The driver did what he was told by the dispatcher at Dongshan. A few minutes later, Puyuma Express Train 6432 skipped Dongshan train station. Now it was heading to skip Xinma, where it will turn into a disaster. While the train was heading, the driver started to notice that the locomotive was going way too fast, but enough as the speed limit. A minute later, he reached another speed limit of 90 km per hour. Then it went from 100 km per hour, 110 km per hour, and it reached the maximum speed of 140 km per hour. Then the train reached the speed limit of 30 km per hour to reach Xinma, and the train was going too fast. Not knowing from the driver, he was reaching Xinma station, and there was a sharp curve. He pulled out the emergency brakes, but it was too late. Puyuma Express Train 6432 has crashed into the sharp curve at Xinma train station at 110 km per hour. The impact made the locomotives and the coaches derail, hit the fences, and some remained on the inside. TED 2008, the leased locomotive, derailed first when it reached the sharp curve, making it turn onto its side, damaging the generator and the inside. TEM 2014, TEM 2016, TEP 2008, and TEMA 2015, the secondary coaches, were off the track. Derailed, then the two of them went onto its side. TEMA 2013, TEP 2007 were also derailed but remained on the tracks. And the locomotive, TED 2007, was also derailed but remained on the tracks, still upright with minimum damage. The driver of the train survived the crash unharmed, but it won't be lucky for the passengers. Rescuers arrived at the scene and started to cut the engines to take out the victims in the crippled coaches and locomotives. They started finding survivors, and they found them quickly as possible. They used enough tools to cut the coaches to take out the passengers. Unfortunately, 18 were dead, 187 were injured, and the rest of the 161 passengers were unharmed and took bus trips to reach Hualien. Well, that was a bit fortunate. But at the same time, how come a high-tech bullet train can crash like this? It's never gone through like that. And most importantly, why do some passengers have to die? An investigation was launched by the TRA and the railway authorities of Taiwan. They first started to inspect the locomotives and coaches and gather information about it. It made clear that all of the coaches and both locomotives were made from Nippon Sharyo, a Japanese company manufacturer that makes all types of transports. The investigators believe that the company did something wrong to the locomotive and were about to sue them. Well, that was not the case. Because Nippon Sharyo explained that they would always test their locomotives and their coaches for the Puyuma Express model. They tested all the coaches and both locomotives before they were shifted to Taiwan, and it seemed fine. There were no problems with it, especially the controls themselves were fine too. The TRA was surprised that they were not at the fault. They have been into some investigation of train accidents, and drivers are more likely to be at fault. The driver's surname Yu was very professional in Taiwanese railway. So how come he caused this crash?
Just like other locomotives in the Puyuma Express, there is a system named Automatic Train Protection, or ATP, can handle situations like this. Back at Zima Station, correct me if I'm wrong, between the speed limit sign, there was a sensor for the ATP for the train. If the train is going too fast, the sensor will trigger ATP and will slow it down quickly. But why was it not working? Well, driver Yu, for some reason, turned off the ATP because he thought that he didn't feel like it, or he wasn't required for it, since he is an experienced driver. But another reason was the sensors in the cab. The speedometer had a small malfunction when driver Yu was still driving the train. This made the investigators have all the evidence they needed. That's how the investigation was finished.
In the end, driver Yu was arrested by Taiwanese officials and was charged with manslaughter for 18 victims and not following the federal law. He was granted bail on October 23, 2018, just 2 days after he was sentenced for 4 years and 6 months in prison, in the amount of 500,000 new Taiwan dollars or 17,976 US dollars and 88 cents. Wow, that is a lot. Nippon Sharyo was sued for faulty sensors with their locomotive, with a staggering amount of 1.4 million US dollars. Now, this is a lot more. The locomotives, including the secondary cars, were repaired and put back into service, still operating today. Nippon Sharyo did an update that the ATP switch will be removed and ATP will remain on whether drivers like it or not. They also fixed the sensors on the tracks so that whenever the train is going too fast, ATP will be triggered and slow the train down. Phew! Finally! 3 years have passed since this incident. Because of the new update, the Puyuma Express trains are working a lot better now. Let's all hope that this derailment never happens again.